Welcome to the Hero Escape Podcast, your weekly escape from CGI mustache removal. I am one of your three co-hosts, Bentley Belvedere, and I am joined by...
Joust Lansley.
And I am Guy Buttersnaps, a.k.a. The Heater. And we are gathered together, fans, to geek out about all the awesome things that are out there now. There's some things that we're geeking out about, and excited for the new release of the Solo trailer.
Punch it, Chewie!
And there's a new Deadpool movie coming out. The trailer looks really good also. So we're going to review those things, get you geeked out and excited about those things as well. Let's talk about the Solo trailer.
Yes, indeed. Aired during the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because right before that, there was all kinds of discussion online, like, oh, they haven't released the trailer yet. It's a bad sign. You know, they're trying to keep it a secret. And then they were obviously waiting for Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
It's interesting. I want to say that because I think you introduced me to this like Reddit thread where that was a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
And there was so much debate about they'll release one in the Super Bowl. They've never done that before. That will not happen, and it's ridiculous that you would say that. Like, no, that would be the. I don't know. It was hotly debated, and then there they go, drop it right during the Super Bowl. I wonder how many people jump back onto Reddit like, see, jump like that.
Yeah, yeah. And we've mentioned it before on the show where there's been rumblings that this movie could be horrible, and they've changed the directors, and apparently the lead actors got issues, and they've got dialogue coaches for them. But I saw none of that in the trailer. The trailer did what a trailer's supposed to do. It made the movie look awesome and get you excited for it. And so I'm more excited now after having watched the trailer than I was before. Before I was desperately hoping for something resembling actual Star Wars to be on the screen that I could enjoy. Yeah. And I'm more excited for it now. How about you guys? I mean, did it have that effect for you guys? Are you guys more excited for it?
I feel like I've been poisoned a little bit by the news surrounding the lead actor. You know what I mean? Before you've seen him speak, before you've seen him deliver a line, the only tidbits of information you could get about the movie were about, they didn't like the daily shots that were coming back, so they got an acting coach brought in for the lead actor, yada, 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 yada. And you're thinking, okay, how is he doing his Han Solo? So I personally, at least, I'm going into the trailer like, this guy's Han Solo is going to be terrible, blah, 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 blah. So that was my gut reaction initially, was like, well, that doesn't sound like Harrison Ford, and that doesn't, you know what I mean? But if I push that aside, there are some pretty cool elements in here. One being, you get to see the Falcon when it's brand new. You know,
that is awesome.
You got all the white padding on the walls and everything.
I almost had to take a double take. Is that actually the Falcon?
Yeah. And that must have been so much fun for the props guys to look at every single iteration of it being aged and thinking, what did this look like when it was new? Yeah. You know, I also enjoyed the giant CGI Cthulhu that they fly through at the end, the floating space monster tentacles, whatever those are.
It has a name already? It's called a Cthulhu?
Well, they're just calling it like a Lovecraftian sort of monster, like Cthulhu, like with the crazy tentacles and all that sort of
thing.
Like
the Kraken?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought of it as a space octopus.
A space octopus.
You're so highbrow.
That had a upset tummy, apparently.
Did it have an upset tummy?
It seemed upset.
Yeah, it seemed, it might just be, I don't know.
That's going to be after they land on it and then get out and start shooting it. And
Yeah.
Did you feel that? Like the Family Guy episode?
Yeah, where they keep...
No, wait, let's try that again.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, you had some strong feelings about the actor as well playing Han Solo, right?
So, first of all, I want to say a comment that I said off the air. I am so glad to see... I'm so glad to see... I like you. I'm super excited to see the Millennium Falcon again, and I thought about that. I was like, I feel like the character that's gotten the best treatment in all the movies is the Millennium Falcon because it always has cool scenes and looks amazing.
It's got the best lines.
Yeah, the Millennium Falcon must have some weight and a great agent like that. It can bustle its way into the best scenes like that, like Angelina Jolie sort of. But yeah, I
what? Never in my life did I equate the Millennium Falcon.
Because if you watch an Angelina Jolie movie, she always is the coolest person in the movie. Even in that, what's the movie they remade, The Sleeping Beauty? It's not called Sleeping Beauty, but the live action, where she is in the movie, she is the coolest good guy and the best bad guy in the same movie.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's in the contract.
Yeah. So anyway,
we have digressed. Let's go back.
I digressed. So yes, well, a little bit of it's Nathaniel's fault because he introduced me to a character in a movie from a few years, not that long ago, but a few years ago called Age of Adeline. And I don't know if you want to
with Harrison Ford in it.
With Harrison Ford, and they have an actor
who plays a young Harrison Ford.
He plays a young Harrison Ford, and if any of you listening to this, go YouTube Age of Adeline, and you'll in there very quickly you'll find one where it shows it'll be labeled like Age of Adeline young Harrison Ford, and the actor looks amazing, uncannily. He looks and sounds like a young Harrison Ford. He's when I first saw it,
I think he's too skinny, but
he has to have filled out. I don't know, but like
a younger version
several years ago, I think he was like 21 when he did that. I mean, he's very young, so you fill out. And
Anthony
Ingruber, and even when I first thought this when I first saw it, and then even Dave over here thought when the man started talking, I thought, they're dubbing Harrison Ford dubs his voice because he sounds so much like him. And after a minute, you're like, no, that's his voice.
That's really him.
It's uncanny. And
so they didn't pick that guy.
It's
they picked
ridiculous.
the guy that they have is Alden. I have no idea how to say his name. Eichenreich.
Schmergenbacher.
Yeah. Anyways, Alden.
Orville Redenbacher. Is that what they got?
It didn't look anything like him. See, when I heard they were making a Solo movie and it's going to be about young Solo, I instantly accepted he's not going to look or sound or be Harrison Ford. There is, the good Lord blessed the earth with just one Harrison Ford, and that was enough. Okay.
Well, we all thought
I did not. I thought like Hollywood is going to take painstaking efforts to get a look, because they have lookalike contests all the time, and some of these people are uncanny. I thought they're going to find some dude who looks amazingly like a young Harrison Ford,
which I read they did. Well, they did a wide search and still,
that's who they got.
Guy. Well, they missed the mark big time.
Okay, well, I accepted he wasn't going to look exactly like him or not sound like him, and it's 20 years earlier than we met him, or however much years before A New Hope, so he's not going to be different. The real problem is I think they're going to there's going to be no appeasing people because there's just one Harrison Ford, and then the other thing is we like Han Solo because he was this tough rogue who then softened because of his friends Luke and Leia, and he becomes good, like just a true good guy rather than the scoundrel who
shoots first,
who definitely shoots first. Okay,
settled.
Yeah. And they're gonna make this movie, and you're gonna want them to see the Han Solo that we all love, but in his earlier years, he's not. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense for him to be the Han Solo we all love. He's supposed to be roguish. I don't know. So I don't know.
Well, that's the character of the person, which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him being maybe a little bit of a scoundrel,
me too,
an anti-hero, maybe they call it.
But I think this is going to be the origin of that. I think that I heard somebody comment on it, and I thought that's bang on. There's some sort of apparent, it seems, love interest, right?
Yeah.
With the Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, who's playing the girl in that film.
That's where she's from. Okay.
Yeah. And the comment they made to me was, of course, he's going to have this love interest. Something's going to go terribly wrong. Maybe she'll die or whatever. That's sort of going to sour him, and that's what's going to create that roguish character. That's what's going to send him off that sort of.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Well, I do believe that the current director of the movie, Ron Howard, is a very skilled, talented person who I hope he gets.
Of course, he has to contend with the mess that is Kathleen Kennedy and all the garbage.
Yeah, is he strong-willed? I think he's got the
he should have the clout.
Hey, I'm saving. Yeah, he's got the clout. I'm saving your keister by taking this mess, and I'm freaking Ron Howard. So you're going to listen to how I want this. So hopefully, they respect him and he gets right. In the trailer, I hope. Hey, I'm excited. I hope.
I heard he does that on every movie he walks into. Goes, I'm Ron frigging Howard. You listen to me. Like that. No.
It's an interesting departure because they have a pattern, even through some of the Marvel movies, I would add, of intentionally going out and hunting down new-ish directors who've had some success under their belt, but not necessarily a major studio title.
Right.
So that, I think, they can sort of steer and guide and mold them. And this is the first time that I can think of that they've brought in like a well-known, very established, very successful director who they can't necessarily push around the same way. So
yeah. So I had, going back to the casting a little bit, if again,
sure.
I had almost the exact opposite response to Dave to watching the trailer. I was totally okay with the guy they picked for.
That doesn't look and sound anything like Han Solo.
I just accepted that he wasn't going to, and I was okay with it. And then I see a couple glimpses of the gentleman acting as Lando
Donald Glover,
a.k.a. Childish Gambino.
Yeah, so he's a cool guy, a popular guy, a skilled guy, or whatever. And I just saw him as Lando, and I thought, oh my gosh, no, this was. I don't think he's going to.
So I 100% disagree because I think he's a very talented. He just seems to be the kind of guy that's the coolest guy in the room when he walks in a room, which is Lando Calrissian. He's the coolest guy in the room.
There's a couple of scenes like that looks like the guy I would want to give a wedgie to in high school. Like I don't think he's got the gravitas.
No, if he walked in, I think he'd be the guy like, oh man, I totally want to hang out with him. He seems so cool.
That's what I'm curious about.
The actor himself, I agree, but I think him as Lando, I don't know.
Yeah, the detailed explanation of maybe if you can't express clearly what it is you don't like about him, but what do you feel like you were looking for in the Lando actor? Because he's got to have.
Hello, what have we here? You look absolutely beautiful. Truly, you belong with us amongst the class.
That's the more matured one, though, right? Like,
yeah, that's
you're scaling back years off that guy.
I know.
I think he has it.
Accepting Han Solo, but having a problem with Lando.
I think he has it. I think he can do it. I think you haven't given it. I think you should.
Which is exactly what I just said to you about Han Solo. As I said, we have the exact opposite response to it. I'm still hopeful it's going to be good, and they're just going to pull it out. Though
Donald Glover has proven himself to be very talented in anything he's been given.
He is,
and this guy has. And I think he can mold himself to that character. Where it's, they're not. Nobody has said we have to bring an acting coach for Donald Glover because he doesn't act anything like he's terrible and he's making a terrible Lando Calrissian. I'll bet you they're saying the reverse.
Yeah,
and that he's amazing at it, and we're having to bring in this guy. And I know some people will say, well, Han Solo is just a fictional character, and it's not necessarily Harrison Ford. But I would disagree. Han Solo is Harrison Ford, so you have to get as close to Harrison Ford as you can. I don't care how much you like this guy or if his uncle owns some studio.
His personal charm made Han Solo. You know what I'm saying? The personal
it's his interpretation of this character that only existed on the page before he brought it to life, right? The same as if you're going to portray a young Indiana Jones, you get that same thing. Here's something that I wanted to pose to you guys.
I don't think Orville Redenbacher has that, but go ahead.
You've both seen
is that his
Alden,
name? Yeah, there we go.
Reich or whatever his name is.
Alden Redenbacher. That's what he's going to be for the rest of the.
That's what it is.
Oh my gosh.
So we've all seen these Star Trek reboots. I'm just curious, in terms of comparison, Chris Pine's Captain Kirk, I feel like was a beautiful balance between it was clearly Chris Pine and it was his representation. However, he had all of these little physical nuances, the way he's crossing his legs when he's sitting in the captain's chair. He doesn't do the intentionally delayed speech, but was tweaking it just enough that it bore similarities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To his predecessor. So do you feel like, A, that was a great callback representation to a previous actor's character, and thinking about that, and you're obviously differing opinions of
there's one William Shatner as well, but I accepted Chris Pine's portrayal of Captain Kirk. I was good with it.
I don't think Chris Pine was the best choice in the world, but I think he did as good a job as he can do in the role. I think he tried to be the best, and so I appreciate his. I don't hold that against him. He did as good a job as he could possibly do. Yeah. I think he probably studied and trained and practiced. So
right,
yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah, and that's kind of was my thought is watching this trailer. Even though he's in it quite a bit, there's only a few scenes that we're seeing, and it's hard to say if there's not going to be that there's not going to be some killer scene where he totally nails some like swagger or the lip curl or the eyebrow. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to say whether or not he's going to have that moment where people are
use a good kiss.
Yeah.
Anything like I said, and the trailer can be so different from the movie, but I just what I've seen in the trailer, the way he talks and his mannerisms don't. It doesn't seem like he has it, but
yeah. So there was the other trailer that we wanted to get to. So we are more excited for Solo. We're got reservations, but we're excited, right?
Well, I'm still on the fence.
Yeah. evil Mr. Buttersnap. Oh no! But the other trailer just came out. The Deadpool 2/Cable. Now I haven't. A lot of people aren't familiar with Cable, Dave, but you're a longtime fan of him from the comics.
So
this
Cable.
Deadpool 2 now has Cable, which is a long-time run. He's been around a while in the comic book world, a pretty popular guy. But
yeah,
introduce us to this.
Nathaniel might know more. Dave and I don't know Deadpool movies so well because it's a very rated R movie, and I don't watch rated R movies. But Cable is So go back with Cable. He's an awesome character in the comics. He's like a born his whole life soldier. He's the child this is where the ridiculousness of comics a little bit, but it's still whatever. He is the child from the future of Scott Summers, Cyclops, and Jean Grey, Phoenix. Oh. And in the future, so he's the child, and then he time travels to come back to the present. But he was also raised by some other people.
It's funny you say that because the trailer, it almost feels like Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Right, like
he's from the far future,
coming from the future to prevent something bad, which is like.
And I don't remember all the details.
His parentage the reason for his sparky eye?
Because I forget all the details. He's got such a convoluted backstory. He in the future to try to kill him. I think he was infected with a techno-organic virus that's trying to turn his body from organic material to.
Like an android or whatever.
like a robot, sort of
super
like
awesome metal.
And so he's also but because he's the child of Jean Grey, he has and it depends, his powers fluctuate, but he always has some psychic, psionic, whatever ability. So he's able to hold the virus at bay, so it only infects the upper half of his face and his chest and arm. So he's able to hold it from keep it back. And sometimes in the Marvel universe, he's like amazingly powerful. Like there's times when he's the most powerful person on the planet, and there's psychic wise, and then there's times when he can barely do anything. Like it takes every bit of concentration just to hold back the
disease,
just to hold back that virus. Yeah. So, but he's a very altruistic character. He's a born soldier. He lives most of his life fighting and surviving without any powers, because he's amazing. I mean, he's just this very. I make the right choice all the time. Like we talk about, you love characters that make the right choice when it's hard. That's him. He does the right thing all the time. He's a mutant, so he fights for mutants even when his dying action would be to save another mutant's life, kind of thing.
So how does this kind of a guy, get mixed up with Deadpool, the playground idiot? I mean,
so in the comics, I think they maybe paired them because it was kind of a funny comedy. Like, here's this insane lunatic of a guy, but then also here's this very altruistic who sort of takes him under his wing to help him. In the comics, he talks about how he sees the potential in Deadpool and tries to mold him to help him be this better, because he and you see that in the comics. He's this really cool character. He's not as crass or crude as he is in the movies, I feel like, which disappoints me that they made the movies so make him so that way. But he is this character that as you read him, you like him and he's funny, but you see, like, man, if this guy could straighten himself out and had a life coach or something and could get his brain right, he'd be like the most amazing guy on the planet, because he's unkillable. He's insanely highly skilled with every, like, he'd just be like, he'd be the first guy in everybody. He'd be like, I mean, when he has his mind right, like in comics, he takes down Wolverine, he takes down Captain America, he takes down anybody when he feels like it, when he wants to.
You said he takes down Wolverine, then I blacked out after that. You said I didn't hear that last part, but go ahead. So Deadpool versus Cable, the trailer came out, and there was a hilarious line in it where they're showing it, and the arm isn't CGI'd yet. And the Deadpool guy freaks out, and he's like, "What's going on here? This is rookie league. It's not like we're trying to digitally remove a mustache here, people. Give him the dang metal arm."
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of that, I don't think I told you guys.
The funniest thing I've heard and seen in a trailer in forever. Obviously referring to the horrible job DC did removing Superman's mustache and all the reshooting needed for Justice
League. When you
League.
get a few minutes, YouTube, some guy took like a few minutes on an old $200 used computer, and he wrote an algorithm to digitally remove the mustache from Henry Cavill. And he shows side-by-side comparison with Henry Cavill in interviews live, and his mustache, and his algorithm is using some sort of photo editing or video editing software, and it does a way better job. It even shows from the movie, his version of erasing the mustache and the movie's version, and you're like, this is amazing that his used computer in a few minutes of probably some cheap video editing software does a better job than these millions of dollars. What did they say? It cost $50 million, $20 million?
$20 million. Yeah, it shows he's throwing money at something, just not solution. Sometimes it's just
who are the people they hired? Now I'm burning with curiosity about who they got to do that.
But if you can find the video on YouTube, the guy does side-by-side comparisons, and he's like, I just wrote a quick algorithm to do this, and it's 10 times better than...
Also, quick 30-second aside. The reason that he had to keep that mustache was because he was filming the new Mission Impossible movie, and that trailer also dropped, and man, I am pumped for that movie. Yeah. I'm just saying, it looks awesome. Yeah. Maybe a discussion for another time, but is worth throwing in there. It looks really cool.
It does look good. And I think, like I said, there's 2 scenes to me that look really, and both of them probably the best. That had Henry Cavill, a scene in the at least a bathroom where he punches somebody down hard, which looked awesome, and then him leaning out of a helicopter with like one of those miniguns just firing. I'm like, yeah.
See, like you want to see more. Like it's such a shame that you don't see getting to act in the DC movies because I loved him in. We're really digressing here, but The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh yeah, I know you like that.
Oh, I love that movie. He is so good in there with Armie Hammer. It's a remake of a show from like the early '60s, a crazy old remake show. It's like a spy movie. It came out when the last Mission Impossible did, Rogue Nation. And it got all these bad reviews, and then people realized it was awesome. Like, just kidding, and because they were wanting to favor
just kidding.
Rogue Nation. It was the whole review thing. This movie is awesome. Oh, love Man from U.N.C.L.E. And so it's more action from him in the Mission Impossible movie now. It's great.
Refer to our last episode about the whole movie review system being corrupt. Carry on.
Yeah, carry on.
He is a charismatic actor, and that, I go back to the shame. Like, they should have made another Superman movie. I feel like before the Justice League movie, or one. There should have been 2, I feel like, to get to know the character really well, just to have more on-screen time with him, to show him being Superman, and then I feel like there should have been one without him or something to really, because I think 2 movies with him, and then you would have really missed the character, and then when he comes back,
felt the void.
It would have been a big deal, like he's back, like that would have been awesome, right? Like
so. After seeing the trailer, Nathaniel, and the first one, I mean, how are you feeling? How pumped, how amped are you for it?
I feel like because of the structure that the trailers have had, I can only be excited about the humor that's coming. Because if you think about it, you watch those trailers, they are really funny. They tell you nothing about the plot. So the first movie is basically what you would expect. It's Deadpool going back to get revenge on the people that mangled him. You know what I mean? No surprise there. Mm-hmm. But you watch the second trailer, and it's like, I mean, this could really be anything in terms of a plot. But I anticipate a lot of funny moments, et cetera, et cetera. It's cool to see Cable's first ever portrayal in live action of any consequence. I'm not sure, he might have been like in the background or something of any of the previous X-Men movies or something.
He deserves screen time, right? He's a big time.
Oh
he's a very popular character in the
So I'm pretty interested to go check it out. I think it's probably going to be good. So yeah.
So what do you feel? Okay, Josh Brolin getting the tap from Marvel twice.
Yes.
Not like it was previously made by Sony and now it's being made by Marvel. He gets tapped for Cable, and he also is going to be playing the biggest baddie in the Marvel Universe, Thanos, in the Infinity Wars. Dude, I guess Marvel, they love them some Josh Brolin.
I guess they do, because that's 2 of the most powerful and coolest characters in the Marvel Universe.
Technically, 2 different studios, all right? I mean,
yeah, that's right. Because who's doing? I don't forget who does the Deadpool movies.
I thought
Sony?
Marvel itself was doing Deadpool.
Well, they get the Marvel ticker was at the beginning of the trailer, and I found that very intriguing. And there's obviously a lot of merger talk. And I was actually talking to David about this today because, we love to see Cable portrayed on screen, but he's a lot crasser and more coarse because he's in the Deadpool movie. That's his sort of intro. But if he sort of gets pulled into the more PG-13 altruistic existing Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's a good chance that they'll hopefully clean it up a little bit and sort of give you a more true comic book representation of him, and that we'll get to see more of him. So that's sort of where I'm getting my ray of hope in all this too. Like, it's cool to see him in the Deadpool movie. It's cool to see him, period. But there's still that wish to see him in the greater universe.
In his great, yeah. Okay, so Deadpool, we know he has like a Wolverine healing factor. He fights and moves like a crazy ninja and can like block bullets with his swords and stuff. Like, he's insanely skilled. Cable is a skilled combatant, has mental telepathy, but when you see him in comics and you don't see him using his mind. You see him as a warrior, almost like a Winter Soldier type fighter, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It almost makes you wonder if they were to get in to fisticuffs into a conflict.
Which brings up our next topic:
who would win? Wasn't that was a beautiful segue? Come on.
In the world of segues, that was a Super Bowl. I'm a little teared up. That was such a good segue. That was a beautiful segue. So, in the ring, we're going to drop them in the ring. We believe they're going to be allies in this movie, but they probably will smack each other around at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. And after our little introduction to those 2 characters, gentlemen, who would win? Dave, you start us off.
So can I start? So they have fought a couple times in comics, but they've been very brief, like
a brief
skirmishes.
informative interlude. David secretly has a crush on Cable. Continue, Dave.
Secretly have a crush on Cable.
Bias. Okay, carry on.
But I will say, most versions of Cable, I think I would give the fight to almost always. But like when he has very powerful psychic abilities, whatever, the telekinetic, telekinesis.
Yeah, obviously then, right?
Obviously, even as just a soldier, I think I tend to give the fight. The only way that Deadpool would be to wear him down with his healing factor, but
is Cable even capable of killing him, permanently killing him?
Well, you can't permanently kill Deadpool. He's immortal. You can't kill it permanently. You can't do it.
I would also add that Deadpool does he not has a long track record of defeating various members of the X-Men and the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
People that you would probably knee-jerk say there's no way he'd beat them, and he has.
Yeah.
So
and I will say in one of the Deadpool Cable comics at one point, no, it's a cheap shot. He comes up behind him, but Deadpool kills Cable.
Oh, spoiler alert! Yeah. Look at that! Wow. That's crazy.
Well, it's not really spoiler. I mean,
so Dave's vote is for Deadpool. Apparently,
Cable has died Cable's died like 6 or 7 times in the comics. So, but
and Deadpool has never died. So that's weird that you're
digging yourself into a hole that you.
Well, I mean, if you look up Deadpool's power set, it's that he's unkillable. He cannot die.
Well, how about you, Nathaniel? Who would win, buddy?
Oh man, I'm torn.
If you can't kill, how do you?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, the healing factor and the way that it's portrayed sort of just it makes Deadpool unstoppable in my mind. He's a relentless force, even if he's not overpowering you in a short moment. He's relentless.
But is Cable capable of confining him indefinitely? I mean, if you can't kill him, isn't he clever enough to confine him in some way?
Put him at like Batman level ability to like stop him. So yeah, he could probably he could stop him and contain him. But if it's like a death match, eventually Cable wears down. I think Deadpool wins. But if it's like you just got a sort of a ring out type situation, sort of thing where you knock him out of the ring or you confine him somewhere, you win. Then I give it to Cable.
Presumably, Cable's toolkit includes future weapons.
Yes.
And that's fair to allow in because that's part of kind of who he is. So that also may give him an edge. However, Deadpool's not going to play by the rules. He's going to be using cheap shots if they're available. He also has his own arsenal of weapons, even though they're current time or whatever. So I'm going to lean it towards Deadpool.
I would think so, too. I think he would come up with something unexpected. His unconventionalness. Fighting styles and whatever might get the better of a more traditional soldier like Cable, and unless Cable can confine him in some way that Deadpool can't get out of, it's just a matter of time till Deadpool wins. Mm-hmm. So I still don't know what you voted.
This has been a very lackluster defense of Cable.
I want to give it to Cable, and like I said, it depends on the rules. But eventually, if you're going ultimate to the death, it's gonna be Deadpool.
Okay, then if you're gonna say Deadpool, I'm gonna say Cable because he's a good guy and Deadpool's stupid.
Well, you're correct.
Deadpool is like a politician.
Deadpool is
like
stupid.
Rotten Tomatoes. I don't like what you're voting, so I'm gonna switch.
Yeah,
no,
Deadpool is stupid and Cable is a good guy, but Deadpool, they're both very charismatic, so it's hard to vote against either one of them. But.
Yeah, okay, so we Deadpool, right? I'm joking. I think it looks like Deadpool. Okay, and he's the named character of the movie, so he's probably in the movie.
There are comic arcs devoted to Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, and not Cable, because Cable I don't think could do it, whereas Deadpool can kill the Marvel Universe.
No way! Oh my gosh, the love for Deadpool is ridiculous. All right, that's it for this episode, everyone. There's so much to be geeked out about. See, the healing has occurred, guys. We can move on past previous failures in Hollywood.
The movie that shall not be named.
There are exciting and fun things to look forward to, and we look forward to continue to geek out with all of you. Peace out.
See ya.